Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. Special coverage of the 20-cent, $300,000 guaranteed pick 4 at Woodbine on Woodbine Mile Saturday. The sequence, races 9 through 12, kicks off with a $16,000 maiden claimer. It's race number 9, 7 furlongs on the Tapeta surface. The number 2 Conquest Swagman's got a fig, and he's taking a big drop in class. That combination means that he's the horse to beat, but also he's going to take a ton of money. I'm not sure I completely trust him, but I'm using him.
Yeah, I don't trust him, but I think you have to use him if you're playing this sequence. And keep in mind, you've got guaranteed sequences all over the place at Woodbine on Saturday, so I think you have to use him. I'm really only interested in 2 other horses in this spot, though. I'm going to use the 5 Allied Sugar Ray simply because he has the highest last out time form US rating. I know this is a slight jump in class going from 12.5 to 16, but at this point, I don't think we're splitting hairs if you're talking about 16 to 12.5 in my opinion. And I'm also going to use a little bit of a quirky horse, the 6, Blue Wave. Blue Wave hasn't been seen since June, but this trainer does very well off this kind of layoff. And I wonder if the distance, faded going rod of ground, I wonder if cutting back to 7 helps.
I'm with you on the 6 Blue Wave. Along with the 2, those are my only A's. And we'll talk A's, B's, and C's during this video. We'll be referencing, of course, Steve Christ's ticket maker application, which is available in Formulator and also on DRF.com, so you can make your plays more efficiently. You weigh your top picks with A, B's, and C's. Conquest Swagman would be my A. Blue Wave for all the reasons you mentioned. Big drop in class, mid-move going long. We like these cutbacks at these sort of middle distance sprints, 6.5, 7 furlongs. Trainer winning 26, 27%. Hear me out on my bomb backup. The number 8 Giant Pulpit.
Okay.
This is another horse taking a giant drop in class, turning back in distance. And if you look at the time form US pace ratings, boy, he was cooked up in some extremely hot paces in his last few races. And I don't think that's going to be the case here. Allied Sugar Ray's got speed. I think Giant Pulpit, for the first time in his career with the big class drop, will either be on the lead or sitting second off a moderate pace. Perhaps that will lead to a better finish. He's 20 to 1 on the line.
The other interesting thing there, though, is like you say, when you have speed and you're getting class relief, I think to me that's the biggest thing when it comes to class. Talking about speed horses, when you've got one that is taking a slight step up in class, like the 5 is, Allied Sugar Ray, as opposed to the 8 who's dropping in class but showed that big speed. Guess what? I think his speed is classier, if you will, and it can kind of put away the other one. I think he's interesting.
Race number 10 is the Grade 1 Northern Dancer. We've covered the Grade 1 Northern Dancer with its own stakes preview on video.drf.com on the Daily Racing Form YouTube page. We try to cover the race pretty much with every horse in great depth. For this video's purposes, though, we're only going to talk about the pick 4. Are you singling Hawkbill?
100%. I mean, look, he's supposed to win this race. Call a spade a spade. I know some of his best runs overseas have come on ground with cutting it. He will not get that Saturday. At the same time, he is just so much classier than these other horses are. He has faced much better company, and he hasn't been embarrassed in some spots. He's won a couple of group stakes over there. I think he's way the horse to beat. He's 3 to 5 in the line. I wouldn't be surprised if he was even shorter than that.
Might also be the main speed in this race. He can be very forward over there. He is my only A. He has a tendency to get a little bit nutty in the post parade, a little bit hard to handle. That's the only reason why I didn't single him. I'm also going to use Messi, the number 4, who is a winner at Woodbine in the past, has a little bit of back class, and I thought was just compromised terribly in his most recent start. I think it was opening weekend at Saratoga, and if you remember that race, Infinite Wisdom and Mook Taser were just sort of lollygagging out there on the lead. Messi was shuffled all the way back to last. He came with a good run. Infinite Wisdom and Mook Taser both came back to win. I wonder if Messi is slowly getting back to his good form, but he's a backup for me because he's got to run down Hawkbill.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, and I guess the other thing for me that just makes Hawkbill such an interesting kind of runner in here, not just because of all the class lines. You look at his time form ratings over there, they're already as fast, if not faster than anything over here. And now he gets Lasix for the first time, which we have seen that can move horses up. For me, I think he's going to need to run really, really poor to lose this race.
The third leg of this $300,000 guaranteed pick 4 with a 20-cent minimum wager is a $25,000 claimer, race number 11. I think this is a wide open race. You got a little bit of everything. You've got sharp horses, horses recently claimed, and horses dropping in class towards the outside. What do you do with the 10 Bears Way, the 11 Narrow Escape, getting significant class relief?
I think you have to use both of them. I know Bears Way, he was a horse I liked early on, and it just seems like the wheels have fallen off. Now he's in for 25, but he gets that giant giant class relief. We talked about Melnick in one of our other videos that we did earlier in the week.
He's so sharp.
I mean, rock solid. He just shows up and runs. And even Are You Kidding Me, who maybe isn't as good as he once was, still really, really talented. I think he and Narrow Escape, those are the two that you need to focus in on the most. But I think you and I both have a bit of a kind of a quirky idea in here as well with the 7.
We do. I think that the 7 is really interesting off of the claim. The Timeform US pace projector for this race indicates that the race shape should be fast. And the 2 drop-downs might be the ones setting the pace.
Yeah.
Perhaps they cancel each other out and set things up for the 7, who was claimed out of his last start. And out of his recent races, maybe he was compromised by slower paces at distances that are a little bit shorter than what he wants. I think Macho Brew is a very interesting long shot, 12-1 on the line.
You go back to the last 3 times that he's routed on synth. I know he doesn't have a victory out of it, but from a buyer standpoint, he fits, and from a Timeform standpoint, he fits. If he gets that pace that he needs to run at, and guess what? Tiller does tremendous work off the claim. This is a horse that I'm very, very interested in.
So I'm going to use the 2 drop-downs. Should be close to the pace. I'm going to use Macho Brew coming from out of it, but I have to use Big Bazinga, the number 4, from stalking range. That last race, they stepped him way up. He was basically held in the gate, lost his jockey. Throw that race out. At this level, 2 starts back on turf. Rock solid winner in gate-to-wire fashion, but he does not lead the lead. I have to use this horse. He's got back class.
Yeah, I guess the thing for me is I was just concerned as far as the pace is concerned. Like I say, he doesn't need the lead, but I do wonder, you're inside, and if you think that the outside 2 horses, the drop-downs, are the other speeds, aren't you kind of forced a little bit unless you think that they're going to clear off and you can just tuck into the pocket?
I think that's the hope.
That's the hope. I was only concerned about that. That is, if there's a scenario where they get a little bit racy early on, does it compromise all 3 of them?
The anchor leg of this quality sequence is the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Saturday, the Grade 1 $800,000 Woodbine Mile. And free Formulator past performances are available on the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com, as well as the Race of the Day video preview that we did where we handicap and analyze each horse. From a pick 4 standpoint, I got to spread a little bit. This is a good, contentious, competitive mile.
It is. The thing for me, though, the way that I'm looking at this, saying, you know, a lot of the understandable contenders, I don't want them. I don't want the Europeans. I just don't, maybe with the exception of Monde Elise, because I think I like the fact that he's already proven at Woodbine. Lancaster Bomber, I guess, is mildly interesting to me because he is kind of unexposed and he's the 3-year-old. I don't want Dutch Connection. I don't want DeVille. I guess that leaves me, I just kind of look at it and say, I think World Approval is the most likely winner of the race. I'm going to use him as an A. My pick is Tower of Texas. I think he has a giant, giant chance in this race at a big number. And then after that, I'll use Monde Elise. I like Glenville Gardens, but I don't think he's a true win candidate. I think you want to use him underneath. I'm only going to use those 3 horses.
Yeah, for me, I think we agree that we're trying to beat DeVille.
Yeah, I don't want any part of
coming
him.
in off the Arlington Million race where he had a perfect trip and he just couldn't cash
wins,
it
I
in.
lose.
World Approval, I think, is going to be on most people's tickets. He just seems like the horse to beat off of his most recent form. But I have to use several others. I think Conquest Panthera's affinity for the E.P. Taylor turf course is going to put him in good stead. And I think he's so lightly raced that there's still a little bit of scope for improvement for him. I would use him of the European horses. I did like the fact that Dutch Connection got a confidence builder and that he can be close to the pace if need be, as we saw in some of his races overseas in Europe. I want to use him at a big price, and I want to use Long on Value as a backup, simply because I think even though he has been campaigned mostly as a turf sprinter lately, I think the 1-turn mile will be okay with him. He's done well in middle distance races in the past, so I would go 1, 3, 7, 11, but it's a great race.
I say I only need those 3. I suppose if I was going to add another one, it would be Conquest Panthera because he has run well at the surface or at the distance too. So, I mean, it's a fascinating race. You can go a number of ways. The big thing for me is against the Europeans.
It's going to be a great afternoon of racing on Saturday at Woodbine. You've got this $300,000 guaranteed pick 4, among other guaranteed money wagers, all afternoon at Woodbine. This sequence, again, 20-cent minimum wager, races 9 through 12. An approximate post time for leg A is 4:59 Eastern. Best of luck.